Fellas, let's just look at the week as a whole. Curran, I'll start with you. The quarterback competition, what did we learn this week?
We learned about Mac Jones' ability to bounce back from a tough practice the first time around on Tuesday. Patriots were running game heavy. It was the best practice we saw for Cam Newton. Really hints at when they run the football, Cam Newton has a decided advantage because of his own abilities as a runner. But Thursday, pads went back on. Mac Jones continues to show when the Patriots want to throw the ball, he is 30% at least better than Cam Newton. But Cam Newton, the experience in the run game ability, it shows up and makes a difference, Philly.
It does. I still think they could have a pretty good run game, whether the quarterback can run or not. But the big takeaway for me this week is just that Mac Jones is able to stack a couple of days together. Just two. That's all we were looking for. Because really, throughout the course of camp, we hadn't seen either quarterback put back-to-back very good days. And that's what we saw from Mac Jones on Wednesday and Thursday. We also saw Mac Jones get a lot more reps than Cam Newton in those two practices. A lot of those with guys that we would consider the reserves. But nonetheless, it looks like the Patriots are trying to put as much as they can on his plate and see how he handles it.
What are the chances that Mac Jones actually is the week one starter? Because I think everybody's rooting for it. Everybody wants to see the first round pick surpass the veteran who struggled last year. But if you do that and he stinks, then you've probably kind of lost Cam Newton there. So what are the chances that they actually would take that risk and start the season with young Mac Jones under center?
I think they remain less than 30%. And what's going to be the key, DJ, is August 16th to the 26th. That's when the week of joint practices and the preseason games against both the Eagles and the Giants are going to come about. And we can see whether or not these semi-competitive reps and sometimes competitive reps can stand up against a team that isn't the one you're familiar with when guys are actually getting hit.
Yeah, I might go a little closer to 50-50, DJ, but I still would say that as of right now, through 9 practices after tonight, that Cam Newton is still the starter. He's still going to be the guy who's first up in the drills. He's still going to be the guy who gets more reps with the first team offense. And so I'm leaning Cam Newton, but I could see my opinion being changed after another week or so. Because again, if Mac Jones is able to string together several practices here, a full week of practices here, and then a preseason game or two where he's clearly the better guy, then we're talking about the job being changed.
All right, so those guys are going to be on the 53-man roster. Phil, I'm going to stick with you on this one because you posted your most recent 53-man roster projection on NBCSportsBoston.com. You had Sony Michel and N'Keal Harry both off of the roster. I'm going to ask both of you guys to respond to this because there might be some disagreement. But Phil, if you would, explain yourself why you might find these two former first-round picks not on the Patriots roster.
Well, let me just say first, if Mac Jones wins the job outright this summer before week 1, I'm not sure Cam Newton will be on the 53. He was on my 53-man roster projection today on the website. But for me, Sony Michel in this running back group is a really hard one to sort out because I understand Damian Harris has been hurt, Sony Michel has been hurt over the course of both of their careers. If you can take both of those guys and get one full, good, solid running back season out of them in an offense that's going to be very run-heavy, there's value in that. I just think, Tom, they drafted a running back in the 4th round who's a big-bodied back who can do a little bit of everything. Damian Harris, to me, is clearly the number 1 guy ahead of Sony Michel. Sony Michel doesn't contribute on special teams. Last year of his contract, if you could get something for him in a trade, I would be surprised if Bill Belichick wouldn't be willing to listen to offers.
And you could get something for him in a trade. He has shown it during these, again, albeit non-contact, generally not to-the-ground tackling sessions, that he has the burst that you're looking for. But as they were told when he came out of college, he has a knee that's not that stable and probably won't make it through to a second contract. So that will weigh on them. But to me, you need to get about 250 to 270 carries out of your lead back if you're going to be the offense we think you're going to be. That being the case, Michel and Harris are going to have to divvy that up somehow. So I think Sony Michel stays.
When you say if you could get something for these guys, I think the something is important. What does that mean? I'm not trading N'Keal Harry for less than a 3rd-round pick. And what would Sony Michel? No, I mean, I'm inclined to keep N'Keal Harry because I think the receivers on the roster stink. And if N'Keal Harry is showing that somebody would want to give a 3rd-round pick for him, it means he could probably play a little bit, and your roster could use that. But fellas, what do these guys fetch?
Well, for a former first-round pick, both of them are former first-round picks, DJ. I think it's interesting if you look at Sony Michel, and I'm doing that because I know how much you hate it.
I love it.
N'Keal Harry.
I am ready to walk off. Go.
We can't see him, but I know he was fidgeting in his
The
chair.
only third-round pick that they could get back for N'Keal Harry would be Geno Grissom, okay? And he ain't playing football anymore. Look, he is a 6th round or 7th round conditional pick or a player that somebody else wants to push away from the table on. There is no market for him. And when I look at that group of receivers, I invite you, I implore you, I want you down here watching these receivers with me. They aren't poop.
Nelson Aguilar and Kendrick Bourne, regardless of what you think of them, DJ, regardless of what you think of Nelson Aguilar and Kendrick Bourne, the Patriots felt like they were worthy of investment. And in an offense where we just talked about, this is going to be a run-heavy team. It's going to be a 2 tight end team across the board, every situation, just about even on 3rd down. I think they're going to be a 2 tight end team. That means less opportunity for receivers. And you just gave real money to Bourne. You gave real money to Aguilar. It's going to be hard to get those guys off the field. So barring injury, I don't see a role for N'Keal Harry. And if you can get a pick for him that's on day 3, I think you would take that happily.
Okay. Let's also get to something else that was written today for NBC Sports Boston.com. Tommy Curran, you had an interesting column here about how the Patriots could actually, potentially, make a platoon system work at the quarterback position. You laid out the possibilities. You laid out the reasons for it. You yourself, do you actually believe that Bill Belichick might entertain this, and might we actually see it in 2021?
I'll be stunned if we don't. I really will. You have one of the most productive quarterbacks in terms of the run game that's ever played, and he's still productive. He ran for nearly 600 yards, 4.3 yards per carry last season, 12 touchdowns. He was their best red zone threat. Cam Newton on short, 3rd and 1, 3rd and 3, 4th and 1, goal line. He remains a very good player in the running game. But the other guy is, again, 30% better as a thrower. So I don't know how you split the baby and keep them both happy. But you can't have 2 players with such varied talents sitting there while one's in and the other's not. You got to figure it out. Bill Belichick's a genius. He's fearless. He's a guy who absolutely will think outside the box. He's going to make that work.
I agree with you on all those fronts, and I've written about him as one of the greatest risk takers we've seen in the NFL in terms of what he's willing to do as a coach. To me, I feel like it's a bridge too far, but I am stunned that you would be stunned if they didn't figure out a way to use both of these guys. Tom, would you envision it being a Cam Newton-led show with a sprinkling of Mac Jones, or vice versa? I
think it would start with Cam and then a sprinkling. You know, you're halfway through or your first possession of the 2nd quarter. Here comes Mac Jones. It's hurry up. And they're going to go zip, 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 zip. Defense is on its heels. It's got the wrong personnel. They didn't expect this. Now you've moved down the field. Here comes Cam. You're going to run some 3rd and 1 stuff. The Patriots did do it in 2000 when Michael Bishop was coming in fairly regularly for Drew Bledsoe during that 2000 season. Varied skills, and Michael Bishop was nowhere near what Cam Newton.
But he was the runner, and that's what we usually see, guys, is Drew Brees and Taysom Hill, or, Michael Bishop and somebody who can actually throw the football, with a little bit more consistency. So it would surprise me if they went that way and you only got a little taste of Mac Jones. If they want him on the field at all, I would think they would want him on the field full time.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much. Phil Perry, Tommy Curran, really appreciate the former first-round talk. Well, DJ did. I mean, you didn't
say former MVP, at least.
Nah.
You had the opportunity.
All right, fellas, thank you.